There's something magical about the bond between a human and their dog. It's a connection built on love, loyalty, and those unspoken moments that touch our hearts forever. Welcome to A Dog's Devotion, a podcast that celebrates the incredible ways dogs change our lives and sometimes even save them. Hi, I'm Carla Basagi, and in each episode we'll share powerful, heartfelt stories of dogs who have rescued their humans just as much as they've been rescued themselves. From acts of bravery to the quiet, everyday love that heals, these stories will make you laugh, cry, and even appreciate your furry best friend even more, if that is at all possible. Do you have a story that you'd like to share? I'd love to hear it. Join us on A Dog's Devotion, because every dog has a story, and every story deserves to be told. Welcome to A Dog's Devotion. We are talking music today, songs written by artists, rock artists really, that you may not have known were written about their dogs. Now, when I think of music, especially rock music, the first person and the only person that comes to mind is Jeff Woods. He is originally from the rock series Legends of Classic Rock, which if you lived in Toronto, and Jeff, how long did that series run for?
It ran 14 seasons.
Yeah, it was heard across Canada. But from that, you've actually spun it into a new rock series, a podcast, and a book, and that's called Records and Rock Stars. I've always been a fan. My sister and I used to listen to you in Toronto on Q107 when we would go running. And every Sunday night, your show was on. And then the weirdest thing happened. You and I met in Calgary. I was working at Global Calgary, and we were doing our live 6 o'clock news hit at the motorcycle show. And you were working for the radio station. It was a chorus radio station, I believe. And you were doing live hits for the motorcycle show. And girls walked by. I heard them walking by, and they said, Jeff Woods is here. And I went, what? What? Jeff Woods is here? Oh my God, I got to meet him. I've been a fan since I lived in Toronto. I probably listened to his show. It's awesome. So I said, where's his booth? So you remember I ran down. I had a break from my shoot. I ran down to your booth. There you were. And I finally got to meet you, which was such a treat for me, because when you listen to someone on the radio for so long and you tell great stories, you got the best voice, you've spoken to almost every artist there is possible, and I'm sure you can name a few. It's just your repertoire is amazing, but it was such a pleasure for me, and I just love telling that story because it's kind of a funny story because you're a motorcycle guy, and the chances of us meeting at the motorcycle show were pretty slim.
I guess they were, but yeah, I moved to Calgary again. I've lived in so many cities, 7 in Canada. And the funniest thing about moving to Calgary was I remembered it as just this great place, having lived there in the middle of the 90s when I worked in the record business. But you know what I realized after I got there again, about a year in, Carla, other than meeting you and doing all kinds of fun things in the Rockies and into BC, living in Calgary, I realized finally that what I loved about living in Calgary was living there in the 90s. So what I really loved was the 90s.
So you didn't like it when you were there?
It wasn't so much that I didn't like it. I just feel better not being there. But there's some wonderful people there, and meeting you was funny. Let me tell you my reaction to your meeting me. Me meeting you. I didn't know you. I didn't have network television.
No, you didn't know me.
But I quickly I thought the world of you in 5 seconds.
I think
you were
followed me back to the.
I sort of followed you back to your area where you were broadcasting. You just stood there like a 12-year-old boy or a dog. Put my tongue back in my mouth. You know this.
I know.
And
it's very cute.
so
But then
you're excited to meet me.
got something in common, which was our love of dogs. And of course, both we had that in common. But at the time, you had Caper and I had Max. And Cape and Max.
And they loved each other too. They were buddies. They loved each other too.
They were Don't you remember me taking them running in the winter down Edworthy Park in Calgary, and then in Toronto, Caper would always be he was crazy, he just wanted to go running, and there was Max following behind, and I would get them dressed up in little outfits, and, it was just it was nice to have that around.
It really was. I mean, those dogs got along so well. They were so different, weren't they? Max was a mix. Tell me about Max.
Yeah, Max was a terrier poodle, originally a rescue from Positive Match in Calgary, actually. I probably just gotten him not too long before I met you, but Caper was I can never say the name of his breed.
The correct way to say it, which most people don't, is Vizsla.
Visla.
Vizsla. V-I-Z or V-I-Z-S-L-A. Vizsla. It's a Hungarian pointer. People typically say Vizsla.
Oh,
There's no
just
Vizsla, it's a Vizsla.
now, didn't you say it meant
Vizsla.
that he always wanted to sit by you on the couch? Like, he couldn't get close enough to you?
It's true, Carla. They called Vizsla the Velcro breed, one of the Velcro
Mhm.
breeds, but probably the most Velcro-like. They always have to be touching. They're very sweet, sensitive, extremely affectionate, extremely energetic. They're a bird dog. I don't hunt, but they're bred to go grab the bird without hurting it or eating it.
Oh. Now, Max just passed, as you know, in August, so it's still pretty fresh for me, but, I was shocked to hear that poor Kate, it's been just over 3 years, I think, right?
That's right. Can I tell you that it was so, I've had dogs before.
Yeah.
But Caper passing was just so devastating for so many reasons, and I was, in bed one morning, the week that he passed, 4 days after, and,
Your dad had passed.
I I looked on my phone, and my little brother said, "Call me,"
Yeah.
and I knew there was something up because he wouldn't do that at 4 in the morning unless there was a big reason. So I just knew, and, as much as I loved my dad and still do, I was so low about Caper, I couldn't go any lower. So it was just
Understood.
more, more loss, right?
Yeah, well, as it seems to happen all at once, doesn't it?
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason. Do you think you're gonna get another dog?
I can imagine doing that, but I still don't feel motivated or maybe ready.
Right.
You know, it's you don't replace a dog, you get another
No,
dog. And
you
there's
don't.
lots of dogs that need love and attention and care and a home.
Yeah.
I just haven't brought myself to do it yet. What about you? Because it's been so much less time since.
What's funny is that, uh, it was by far one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my life. It was the saddest I've ever been. I did had no motivation to do anything. The good thing with the dog, with having Max, is that he got me up in the morning to go running. So I had a reason to get up. Then all of a sudden, there's no Max. There's no Max jumping on the bed, cuddling with you like Caper used to come out and jump on the bed. Like, there was none of that. So I felt lost. Um, Everybody has their own opinion, and I think everybody's different. Some people have said to me, "You need to get a dog right away, Carla, and replace him, and that will take care of the grief." Other people have said, "No, take your time. When you're ready, you'll know." I almost feel like I'm cheating on Max. If I could
Yeah, that's a common feeling. That's not an unusual feeling. Loyalty to your dog after he or she passes is not an unusual thing. I
yeah,
understand. You're a sensitive woman.
it can be overly sensitive, as you probably know.
Well, they say, I like this, and you'll like this too. Maybe you're just the right amount of sensitive,
Ah, okay, I like that.
you know? Because, yeah, self awareness is a good thing. You realize that maybe being overtly sensitive can get you into trouble. However, it's also part of the beauty of a sensitive person.
Yeah, that's true. So, right now, I think as far as going back to getting a dog, it on Instagram, all I see are dog rescue photos and dogs that need homes and dogs that are in shelters and, I wanna take them all home. My dream would be to have a farm and just have it filled with goats and donkeys and dogs and chickens and just live in the mountains. That would be that would be my dream. I'd save every dog possible, which obviously I can't do. But I go through dogs and, rescues, and I look at some of them, and I just don't have that's my that's my dog feel. When I saw
Not
my
yet. It's so
it
new.
was
Yeah,
the
when you saw Max, you
oh,
knew?
as soon as I walked in the room, there was 15 chihuahuas and Max in the middle at the foster woman's house in Calgary, and I just went, "That's him. That's my guy." And that was it.
Isn't that what you said when you saw me? I'm kidding, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Ah, sure. Okay, as you were running after me with your tongue hanging down on the floor.
Yeah, but you returned the favor, as I recall. I remember being at Saddle Dome, which for people who haven't been to Calgary is a big, it's where the hockey team plays, and it's where concerts happen. There's like a 20,000-ish seater, like a lot of cities have with hockey teams. And somebody said, "Hey, Carla Basaki's looking for you." And I had already met you at the motorcycle show, but this is months later. I said, "Oh, really? Where is she?" And we found each other in a suite because we were
We did, and can I mention that one of my favorite bands were
Go.
playing? We were rocking out to AC/DC.
No, it was a different show. Dude, this is why this is why I'm a music historian. I don't forget
Oh my
things.
gosh, see, yeah, it was Bob Seger.
It was Bob Seger. I had spoken to Bob and then went to the show, and it was fun. And I saw you, up close properly this
Yeah,
time. And I'm not afraid to admit I'm an open book. I've written books about these things. You walked away, and the woman I was partnered with said, "What the hell was that?" And I said, "What do you mean? I've only ever met her once briefly, and that's Carla from the TV station. She does the meteorology. She's the weather person." And she goes, I don't even know what that was. But you and I didn't do anything
no.
inappropriate. How I answered her was, "Well, you saw her. There's fireworks coming out of her head because that's how you are. Socially, you're so
You
vibrant."
were a social
Um,
butterfly.
exactly. So that was
Yeah, was
that was fun.
okay, so can we talk about music?
Or dogs.
And dogs
Is it?
and music? I think it's a
Yeah.
perfect combination. I gotta thank Martin Reed, who is a follower of mine, who actually gave me this idea of, "Why don't you do one about rock stars that write songs about their dogs?" And I thought, "Oh, great idea."
Well, I have some about dogs, but I also have just songs that are dog in the title, and it wasn't necessarily about a dog. Can we do a combination of things?
Absolutely.
What's
You pick the
cool things
song,
about
so I'll let you introduce them. We'll play them, and
glasses? Huh?
we'll try back and talk about them. How's that?
I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. Carla, can I give you a couple of quotes before we hit the
Of
songs?
course.
I did this because I was thinking of your sadness around Max, and I thought, what are some good quotes that Carla might resonate with? And so the first one I picked was by a guy named Christopher Morley. Carla, it goes like this: "No one appreciates the very special genius of your conversation as a dog does." When you would talk to Maxie, he just like stared at you with
So we
loving
have
eyes.
conversations with Maxie all the time. That's a good one.
Uh, what did you talk about? Everything and
Well,
anything?
yeah, because it was just me and Max. So I would talk about, you know, anything that you would talk about a human being with. Max was my human. Now he never answered me back, and then thankfully I never answered myself back. But he would just look at me with those big brown eyes, and his head would go like this, like he understood what I was saying, and I would just talk. Yeah,
He loved his mother.
yes, he did.
This one. Dogs, this is obvious, but it is lovely. Dogs' lives are too short. Their only fault, really.
I've
Their
read
only-
that. That is very good. I know another one. Can I tell you one? It's from Marilyn.
Let me credit Agnes Slight Turnbull on that one.
Yes.
But yeah, what have you got?
Okay, so I've got one by Marilyn Monroe who says, humans have bitten me, but dogs have not." It's something like that.
It is,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's some good quotes about dogs.
Let me find you a couple more. Um, if you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he will not bite you. To your point about Marilyn, it is the principal difference between dog and man. Mark Twain.
Ah, yes, I read that. That's good, isn't it?
It's lovely,
Yeah.
right? Oh, here's one.
Okay.
A dog is the only thing that can mend a crack in your broken heart. Judy Desmond said that.
That is so true.
Certainly company while your heart is broken. I've had depressive stints that you're aware
Mhm.
of. And without Caper, I mean, he was the only reason I left the house some weeks in that time to take him out.
But just to have him lay on the bed beside you, in a state of depression where you couldn't get out of bed, you couldn't do anything, and then at least you had the love of your dog beside you.
Yeah, it's everything.
It is
It really was. The most pictures of Caper are on the couch with me.
stuck to you like Velcro.
Yeah. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them.
Isn't your so my camera is full of dog photos. Yours too?
That's probably 50% of my camera
Yeah,
too.
yeah. It's all
My
dog
phone.
photos. But
I think there's 17,000 photos on my phone right now.
I can imagine. You got
I know you could imagine.
Okay, so let's diverse and talk about listen to some songs that you picked.
Some
Yeah.
songs? Yeah, okay, let's, one of my favorite songs, and I just played it recently on my radio series, is a woman who rocked with the best of them, better than most, and her name was Big Mama Thornton,
Uh,
and Elvis did it, but she did it better. Just people don't know it. A song called Hound Dog.
I know Elvis's version. I've seen the video of her do hers, and she is just a powerhouse. So let's take a listen to this, and then you can make some comments on it.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Been snooping around my door. You ain't nothing but a hound dog. Been snooping around my door. You can wag your tail, but I ain't gonna feed you no more. You told me you was high class, but I can see through that. Yes, you told me you was high class, but I can see through that.
And that's the original Hound Dog, 1952. Big
Wow,
Thornton.
1952. So when did Elvis cover it?
Shortly thereafter.
Because he was a big blues fan, wasn't he?
Well, Elvis wasn't so much a songwriter as he was, the ultimate performer.
Yeah.
So he would look for songs he could relate to, and it was the rock and roll era. So he was grabbing from African Americans, and he was grabbing from people like Carl Perkins, and he was putting them out. Carl Perkins' Blue Suede Shoes, and Hound Dog from Big Mama Thornton. I love Elvis, but man, when it comes to writing songs, he had a lot of people to go to.
Right. Right. Okay, next song. I think they're one of your favorite bands.
Well, there's a couple of Beatles songs about dogs. One's funny. We should probably play it because the original title that John Lennon came up for it was "Hey Bullfrog,"
Hey Bullfrog?
which isn't as relatable. Not a lot of people have pet frogs, but they do have pet dogs. So he changed it to "Hey Bulldog," And it's not really about a dog as such, but he and Paul at the end of the song get barking. So maybe we can play a bit of it where he says, "Hey, bulldog," and a bit of the barking on the extra too.
Let's listen to it.
Sheepdog, standing in the rain. Bullfrog, doing it again. Some kind of happiness is measured out in miles. What makes you think you're something special when you smile? Childlike, no one understands. Jackknife in your sweaty hands. Some kind of innocence is measured out in years. You don't know what it's like to listen to your fears. You can talk to me. You can talk to me. You can talk to me. If you're lonely, you can talk to me.
So that was the first Beatles song that you had, and I know they're a favorite of yours. You have another Beatles song that you wanna play.
Yes, Paul came up with the song, and a bunch of other musicians. There's strings and there's brass. It's a beautiful song from the White Album, 1968, about his sheepdog
A sheep?
that he named him a sheepdog. Her name was Martha, big old standard, woolly, long-haired sheepdog. And he called it Martha, my dear.
Can I ask you what the story is behind that? Do you know?
It's not anything more complicated than a love song to a sheepdog.
Oh, gotta love it. Okay, let's take a listen to this one.
Martha, my dear, though I spend my days in conversation, please remember me. Martha, my love, don't forget me. Martha, my dear.
Okay, so there's a couple great Beatles songs. The next one I know is your all-time favorite rock artist. You've interviewed him, I don't know how many times.
Cup-
You you laugh like, "Oh." You know how many people would love to sit in a room with David Bowie and talk to him?
Yeah, it was the highlight of my career. I said I could retire after it was over. It was 2002, the first time in New York City. And he was just such a nice man. He was the smartest, nice person I've ever met.
He seemed extremely intelligent.
So intelligent, but so fun and so funny. And there's a lot of things, the things I like most about myself, I like about Tabor, because we were born, 4 days apart, a few years apart, but 4 days apart.
Right.
And it was supposed to be a short interview, and he just stayed and stayed and stayed. At my insistence at first, at my invitation, but then he just wanted to stay longer, and he stayed for over an hour, and we just talked. Even when the interview was over, he stayed and we talked some more.
Isn't that a great compliment to you, Jeff?
Well, I was certainly fortunate to get that much time from him,
Yes.
So thank you. Yeah, Bowie. And while the song I picked from David Bowie isn't so much about a dog, on the cover of the album from which it came, there he is. This is great because we talked about Caper,
Yeah.
the dog, the Vizsla. Caper was, a 50-pound kind of tan, sort of reddish furred, short-haired, floppy-eared dog, right? So for the cover of Diamond Dogs, 1974, David Bowie, there's David on the cover. It's a gatefold sleeve, when the sleeve's double wide. So if you stretch it out, there's David's head on a dog's body, complete with male dog parts, by the way. We'll get to that in a second. And it looks exactly like a Vizsla. It looks exactly like David's head on paper. Yeah, you will in a second. It's so great. So RCA discontinued the album cover because, people complained. There's a man with a dog's body, got dog parts.
Right.
Yeah, so it was discontinued and reissued without the parts.
Got it.
So if anyone has a original copy, it's worth thousands of dollars.
Do you have a virtual copy of that?
I don't have an original of
Almost.
that. I have a lot of rare albums, but that's not one of them.
That's too
So, the Diamond Dogs that David refers to are actually kids, a pack of feral kids camped on high-rise roofs, tearing around on roller skates. That was the story.
Oh, that's the story. Interesting. Okay.
So let's play a bit of it with David
Okay.
Bowie. Diamond Dogs.
Running streaky walls, crawling down the alley on your hands and knees. I'm sure you're not protected for it's plain to see. The diamond dogs are poachers and they hide behind trees. Hunted to the ground, they were mannequins with killer pills. I keep a friend serene. Will they come? Oh baby, come unto me. Rest is coming and gone. Come out of the garden, baby. You catch your death in the fall. Young girl, they call them the Diamond Dogs.
Okay, so we went from Diamond Dogs, David Bowie. Let's go to one of my favorite female artists. Been around for a long time. Babushka was one of my favorite songs of her. Of course, I'm talking about Kate Bush. But the song that you chose for us with Kate Bush is Hounds of Love.
Yeah, it was a great album, wasn't it? Running Up That Hill that had a resurgence because of the Stranger Things TV series was on Hounds of Love in the middle of the 1980s when I really fell in love with Kate. She'd been around for 7 years at that
Yeah.
point already. Wuthering Heights was on her first album. I've got her autograph in the
You
guest room
do.
over here. My friends from England know her, and they're like, Jeff Woods is such a huge fan. Can you sign this? She signed one of the music sheets from that same
Wow.
album. I think it was The Big Sky that she signed over her picture. Love, Kate.
Oh,
Dear Jeff.
love.
Right? Never met her. She doesn't do a whole lot of traveling. But Hounds of Love, the hounds on the cover of that album with Kate, they're lying down, her hair's all over, and the dogs are snuggled in with her as they do. I think they're Weimaraners. I don't think they're Vizslas. Weimers are very close looking, but they're more gray.
They're
in color,
gray,
aren't
aren't they? Yeah.
with the floppy ears, and they're so soft like velvet. The Hounds of Love. I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than the fact that we love Kate Bush, and what a voice. And there ain't nothing like the love of a hound, is there?
No, there is not. Do you want to play a clip of this?
Yeah, let's play a bit of it.
Let's listen to this. Kate Bush.
You let me take him in my hands. His little heart, it beats so fast, and I'm ashamed of running away. You're nothing real, I just can't deal with this. I'm still afraid to be there. On your arms of love, feel your arms surround me.
Okay, so that was Kate Bush, which I love. Now, the next one you picked, I've never heard of. It's the Stooges.
Well, you've heard of the lead singer from the Stooges. It's not the Three Stooges.
No, well, that's what I first thought of. I thought, what is Stooges?
I have to finally sip in my hot tea.
Of course.
With honey, right? The Stooges. Detroit rock from the late 1960s. Iggy Pop's band was the Stooges.
Hey.
Yeah, it was a 4-piece band. There were a pair of brothers on guitar and drums who I got to see play with Iggy at Massey Hall years ago before both of those guys died. But yeah, it was Iggy's band. Very influential. David Bowie produced one of the Stooges albums, Raw Power, in the early 70s. Just unadulterated, pure, guttural, primal rock and roll, but with an R&B groove, right? It wasn't math rock, it was feel rock. And that's what Iggy is and was all about. And I'd leave it to him to sing, I Want to Be Your Dog.
So messed up, I want you here in
another one of my old-time favorites, this is aging me here, uh, is Neil Young.
You're ageless.
Thank you.
The funny thing about you, one of many funny things about you, is that you never told me how old you were, and I didn't push it.
When did you finally find out how old I was?
I don't
You still
still
don't
don't
know.
I don't care.
Doesn't matter.
Like, it doesn't matter. I've been seeing a girl who's also a Scorpio, like you, and she was born on the 3rd, and she's the same as you. I don't know how old she is. She won't tell me.
That's because
She doesn't tell anyone.
scorpions are very secretive.
They really are, and not in a way that's hiding things from you that just secretive. Keep a lot of cards close.
Yes.
It was an interesting relationship I've had with Scorpios.
Yeah.
We don't ever think of our dogs as having a horoscope. We don't care because all dogs are just
What? No, and you know what? A dog's birthday is every day. I celebrated Mac's birthday every day. Because he was a rescue, I really didn't know when his actual birthday was. So it's not like I celebrated. You see some people put birthday cakes and hats on their dog and say, happy birthday, George. Max's birthday was every day he got treats. Every day he ate the best meal. Every day he got the best of everything.
It's a great point. Every day is a dog's birthday if you're doing it right.
Yes.
And most of us are
Yes.
because we love the little critters.
So much. Uh,
But one of your favorites is Neil Young.
Neil Young.
It's about a dog who went running after deer, and his name was Old King.
And he went running after deer. Okay, let's take a listen to this one.
King went running after deer, wasn't scared of jumping off the truck in high gear. King went a-sniffing and he would go, was the best old hound dog I ever did know. I had a dog and his name was King. I told the dog about everything. There in my truck, the dog and I. Then one day the king up and died.
Okay, so I haven't heard that one in quite some time. I haven't seen Neil or even heard of him, Jeff, in a long time. Is he?
He's still he's happening. He's still good. Last I checked, and he's booked a tour of North America, and he's as crusty as ever, but he's as lovable as ever. Neil is somebody who I met, and I think he's the greatest songwriter Canada has ever produced. So Neil and his love of dogs is well known. Dogs and old cars and hearses
And hearses?
back in the day. He traveled with his band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
If they traveled across Canada in a hearse?
They traveled right down to L.A. in a Pontiac hearse, and he ran into Stephen Stills, and they started up a band called the Buffalo Springfields.
So, see, I knew I didn't pick the wrong person when it came to music. I knew it. All right, so we want to end on someone who I was Googling him the other day, and when he was younger, he was such an attractive man, I thought.
He looked a bit like Serpico, which was a film,
I remember so.
right? About a cop undercover in New York City, Frank Serpico, and what's his name played him? Pacino played Serpico. And Pacino's a hell of a good-looking man in the 70s, too.
He was. Yeah. Yeah.
That dark hair and those dark features, and Cat Stevens threw all his money, gave his gold records away, and denounced his fame, and became Muslim.
I was going to say, he was the one that changed his religion, wasn't he?
Changed his religion and his name to Yusuf Islam. But he kept doing music, and he's still doing music. But this takes us back, I think, to the 60s when he wrote this song. And there's a lyric in it I want to share with you. I love my dog as much as I love you, but you may fade. My dog will always come through.
Is that not the truth?
Is he right? It really is. My love for you has never faded, by the way. You know that.
Oh, I know that, and it goes the same way to you as well.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hmm.
Once you love somebody and share so much together, you always love them.
Yeah, it doesn't go
No,
away.
love
It doesn't
doesn't
go
go
away.
away.
Just like a dog. You're just like a dog. dear.
You can't get rid of me. I'm just like the dog. Okay, so
Want to play a bit of this song?
let's do that.
Cat Stevens, I love my dog.
I love my dog as much as I love you. But you may think my dog will always come through. All he asks from me is the food to give him strength. All he ever needs is love, and that he knows he'll get. So I love my dog as much as I love you. But you may think my dog will always come through.
Okay, so that Cat Stevens was a good one, Jeff. Thank you for that. I have I have a couple that I've looked up and people have mentioned to me, and I've read reviews on them. And, some people say, oh, this is definitely a love song. Some people say, oh, no, it's a heartbreak song. And then I read something else. And then I actually read something from the lead singer who wrote the song from Tesla. Tesla, of course, is going way back, right? It's a great rock song, I think.
Before anyone gets confused or angry, not the Musk Tesla. This is a band named after Nikolai, named after Tesla, the man who resembles Elon Musk in no way possible or
No,
imaginable.
this is
But there was a band called that,
correct.
and they had nothing to do with Musk. I'm sorry.
Absolutely not. But they wrote a song
Yeah.
called What You Give, which I'm not going to play for you because we're running out of time. But I just want to say I finally found out, and tell me if I'm wrong, he wrote that song for his dog.
I'm going to take your word for it. That's one of the few things I don't know about music.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. And then, of course, every woman can relate to this one because when I watched her play this song on YouTube, actually, there's a video of her playing in, it looks like a park just with her acoustic guitar. And it's Nora Jones. And the song is called Man of the Hour.
So,
And if you listen to the lyrics, women, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Carla, 3 lines. Two of them are unknown. Having a dog will bless you with many of the happiest days of your life and one of the worst. If there are no dogs in heaven, then when I die, I want to go wherever they went. Will Rogers. And finally, if the kindest souls were rewarded with the longest lives, dogs would outlive us all.
And unfortunately, dogs' lives are cut too short. But those are the 3 great lines.
You're great. And I'm so glad that you had me come on and talk about Caper and Max of dogs and music.
Yeah, Caper and Max were just buddies. I look back at photos of them and it puts a smile on my face. You know?
It was both sad and rewarding to reconnect with you over the passing of our dogs.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing how the passing of your dog can have people that you haven't spoken to for quite some time reconnect, and you realize when you lose something you love so much, how important people who are still were in your life that you love are so important. You know, it's a hard lesson to learn.
Yep.
Right. Okay, so let's end this on a happy note, shall we? It was great seeing you. Thank you for taking the time because I know, you've got your podcast, your rock episode. You're doing amazing. You've got 2 books out now, I think, right?
I have 2 books out. Everything you need to know through jeffwoodsradio.com.
Okay,
All the links are there.
awesome. because you've got the best voice in radio still.
And a face for radio.
Yeah, and a face for radio. Okay.
I love
Yes, you're welcome. So let's leave on this. This is from the late great Canadian comedian. His name is Norm Macdonald. You sent me this clip. It's a great clip. Let's play it now. And once again, thank you. And God bless you, Jeff.
back at you, Les.
They don't judge dogs. We judge, all our love comes with caveats, there's no such thing as unconditional love with human beings. But dogs, they don't care. They love. Hitler had a dog. Now you think of that. I'm no fan of Hitler. I never liked him. I didn't like him before it was cool not to like him. But there was a dog in history who loved Hitler more than anyone. He would wake up in the morning, go, "Where's Hitler?" And Goering or something would go like, "He's not here, he's doing some evil stuff." I've explained to you, he spends most of his time doing evil stuff. You can't see him that often. He goes, "Okay, I know. I'm not trying to..." Listen, Goering, I love you. I love Mengele, I love everybody. All of you guys are the greatest. But it's just Hitler is the greatest man who's ever lived. This is why we ask that you don't use recording devices. I don't want to be with fucking Harvey Levin tomorrow or something. Did you say Hitler was the great? And what would be my fucking answer? I go, "No, it was a dog." That wouldn't work. I'd be fucked. But I'll be goddamned if I'm going to end a special talking about Hitler.
And that's a wrap on another unforgettable story from the heart, because when it comes to love, loyalty, and second chances, no one does it better than our dogs. They find us when we're lost, lift us when we're low, and teach us what true devotion really looks like. Thanks for listening, and remember, in this wild world, we're all just trying to find our way home. Sometimes it takes 4 paws to lead us there. So give your pup an extra cuddle today and cherish your time with him. Give him some extra treats too. I know he'll love them. This podcast is in honor of my best buddy, Max.